Hi guys, this is the Luminkey Magger60 HE keyboard. It's a traditional 60% layout Hall effect keyboard from Luminkey with 8000Hz polling with a pretty clean overall aesthetic. The case is a nice looking anodized aluminum case that has a small silver accent on the top part. The case consists of two parts attached with some screws on the back, and when you take those off, the top part lifts off nicely, revealing the module and what is inside the case. As we can see, the board is gasket mounted with small silicone gaskets to provide a small reduction to the typing stiffness, but it is still quite a stiff experience overall. The case has a case foam on the bottom, and they have also handled the case grounding with a grounding foam piece nicely. Taking a closer look at the module, we can see the plate material is FR4, which is very much used material nowadays. Personally, I think it's a bit dull sounding plate material, but plate material is a very personal preference thing. Then it seems to have a PET sheet, IXPE sheet, and a poron foam type of thing for sound dampening. The PCB is said to be water resistant, not including the USB port, of course. This is a trend that started with the JERRORR GT60, I think, and it's a good thing to ensure a better longevity for these products, even if it helps just a little. PCB itself on this keyboard is a very interesting thing, since it has a daughter port that is screwed to the PCB. There are many different locations you can connect this daughter port onto, ensuring a really wide compatibility for different GH60 style cases. If you transfer this module to a different case, you will need to swap the plate, however, since it is using a dedicated gasket mounting structure, but the plate mounts seem to be very universal also, so there shouldn't be any problems finding an aftermarket plate. You can also purchase this PCB separately for only $40, which is a pretty insane price. With it, you could build a very affordable Hall effect keyboard with a pretty solid performance. One of the things here I don't personally like are the keycaps. If these would be dual shot or regular dice up PBT keycaps without all these small texts and transparent keys, I think it would look a lot cleaner and less gamery keyboard, but if you like a more gamery aesthetic, it's all good. These keycaps still sound pretty good, and they are reverse dice up PBT caps with a good legend uniformity. The switches used here are some custom switches made by JERRORR. From the mold, they look a lot like the older switches, but they are a lot less wobbly as them. There seem to be pretty decent switches with nice lubing on the stems. The stabilizers are plate mounted, which results usually in a bit rattly experience if the stab is not tight on the plate, even with nice lubing. Here they are pretty good, and there is not a huge amount of rattleness even when pressed off center, which is good. Here is a sound test. Overall, I think the sound is surprisingly loud and metallic. The module itself sounds very nice, but when put to the case, it becomes a lot louder and sharper. The sound is very uniform across all the switches, but yeah, for some reason the case just makes it a bit unpleasant to my ears. This is yet again a personal thing. You might like this more than me. Okay, then let's talk a bit about the performance. I tested the latency with my XLAT using Wooting's firmware fork and a solenoid that makes contact with a metallic piece attached to one of the keycaps. The measurement takes into account the small travel distance of the switch, and also any hidden dead zones will affect the results somewhat. All the keyboards measured here were set to 0.1mm actuation, dead zone at the lowest, and 200 lowest results were taken into account. This keyboard is using one of the newest OEM firmwares, and the performance on it is quite good at 0.88 milliseconds. It's not nearly as fast as the top dogs on the list, but this result is still pretty good and lower than 1 milliseconds, which is a very low number. One thing I noticed also was that the stability have been improved a lot from the recent OEM keyboard firmwares, and while I usually need to remove a bunch of weird outliers, Here there were only like a handful of those. I also retested my Wooding60H EV2 and the Venom60HE, and there was really no changes after rounding up the results. The Venom with the focus mode on did improve from 0.49 milliseconds to 0.48 milliseconds on average, which is so minor, it is very well just normal deviation. The Wooding result was not changed at all, and without the focus mode the Venom did also not change at all. Now let's take a look at the web driver of this board. On the left you'll see different profiles you can configure, and on the first page, the performance page, you'll see all the most relevant stuff you can configure. Here you can easily change the actuation, distances, rapid trigger stuff, and dead zones are under the advanced tab. On the advanced features you will find the Rapid Snappy, Snappy Tappy, DKS, Mod Tap and other stuff if you like those. I still find it quite funny that Wooding named these features with these pretty silly names, and the naming scheme is just copied one-to-one on some boards. But anyway, key remapping page, you can remap keys, RGB effects, you can adjust RGB, and luckily there is also a disable lightning button. Macros page, you can set macros, and on the settings you can change tick rate, polling rate, and will find future firmware updates. Pretty simple driver, really easy to configure and well translated. For the price, this board retails for $169 plus shipping, and I calculated that with taxes it would total around 190 euros to Finland. I think that is a bit steep, since with the price there are a lot of competitors with the same or better performance. I don't really understand the price jump from the Magger60 Ultra that is still $155. I find the PCB only price to be a better deal if you want and can build the board yourself. Of course, with that option there is no warranty. With a fully built keyboard you will get a 1-year warranty. But all in all, it's still a pretty good Holve keyboard that offers a very unique PCB with the daughterboard system. That is all for this one. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one. Goodbye.